But this pleasant surprise was short-lived. One incident might be a coincidence. But two? And it wasn't just two, was it? Could the original owner's nature be that peculiar? Besides that feeling I had before, it was real. This meant the original owner was truly a demon. Could a person like that really be satisfied with merely witnessing? It was hard to believe. But right now I had no better ideas. I didn't know what clue the police had. Returning to the apartment, I passed by the security guard. Suddenly, I noticed the guard staring blankly at his phone, completely oblivious to my presence. This scene immediately sparked my suspicion. This was a high-end apartment complex. Every time I entered, the guard would stand to greet me, and when I left, he'd stand to see me off. This, sitting motionless in his chair, had never happened. Before, I tiptoed closer and craned my neck for a look. The security guard was staring vacantly at a photo on his phone, and the person in that photo was none other than the deceased, Tang Yu. In the picture, Tang Yu's eyes were closed, as if she were asleep. Moreover, the photo was a close-up. But from what I knew, Tang Yu was very skilled at keeping admirers at bay. How could she be so intimate with someone, especially a security guard? I had no memory of this guard's name, probably because the original owner had never paid him any mind. Could there be a story between these two? Was Tang Yu's death connected to him? I felt as if I were lost in a dense fog, unable to see anything, only able to grope my way forward slowly. If only you could sleep like this forever, then you would belong only to me. Back in my apartment, I mulled it over carefully. This security guard was clearly problematic. Could he have killed Tang Yu? It was possible, but that didn't explain the diary. Was it really as I'd initially thought? Just a coincidence? The original owner had merely seen it? The vibration of my phone jolted me from my thoughts. Seeing the caller ID, Mom, I hesitated. Right now, I had very few memories concerning my family. I was afraid of exposing the fact that I'd transmigrated. But not answering was out of the question. I'd have to face it sooner or later. After answering the call, my mother said she'd seen the news, knew a murder had occurred where I lived. She was very worried and wanted me to come back home for a while. But I refused, using the excuse that it wasn't convenient for work. Mother didn't press further, instead saying I hadn't been home in a long time and insisted I come home today. I couldn't refuse again, so I agreed. The original owner's home was a villa in the city center, a tranquil spot amidst the bustle. Mother was waiting at the door early. Quick, come in. I've made a huge table of food, all your favorites. Upon entering the house, when my father saw me, his expression instantly changed. It was clear he couldn't stand the sight of me. What was this about? Could this be why the original owner rarely came home? Our son finally comes home for a visit. Why? Are you making that face? Eat, quickly eat. I have no such son. I was startled, not knowing what the original owner had done to make his father this furious. Don't mind him. His mind isn't right. This meal was incredibly uncomfortable. I didn't know what I should say, nor did I know how the original owner usually interacted with his family. I could only eat in silence. Father finished eating quickly. He went to the living room, turned on the TV, and switched to a nature documentary channel. At that moment, some memories finally surfaced in my mind. When he was little, father and son often watched nature documentaries together. Back then, his father would even narrate things to him. It was because of this that the original owner developed a fondness for making animal taxidermy. The scenes from that time were warm. What on earth had happened to turn things into this? After returning to my apartment, I felt incredibly tired. I fell asleep quickly. Waking up the next day, I found myself exceptionally fatigued, without a shred of strength in my body. Was I sick? Reaching the living room, I was about to pour myself a glass of water, but when I saw the diary on the table, I froze. What was going on? I had clearly hidden the diary well. How did it suddenly appear on the table? I warily scanned my surroundings, confirming I was alone in the apartment. I slowly approached the table, picked up the diary, and as if guided by some unseen force, flipped to the last page. The diary had been updated. The person in the diary entry was yesterday's security guard. Does a lion hunt a rabbit out of a desire to kill? No, it doesn't. It's simply hungry. It needs to eat. I'm hungry too. I need to eat too. Could the original owner have controlled my body while I was asleep? Like multiple personalities? Then how was I supposed to live my life? No, it couldn't be true. Someone must be pulling strings behind the scenes. Just then, I saw a black bag in the corner of the room. It was the same bag that had been on the cabinet. I walked over and opened it. Inside, besides the things from yesterday, there was an additional blood-stained wrench. My first thought was to turn myself in. No, if I really did that, given my current mental state, I probably wouldn't get the death penalty. But the days to come would most likely be spent in a mental hospital, dealing with all sorts of psychiatric patients. No freedom for the rest of my life. I couldn't accept and absolutely wouldn't accept such an outcome. I took the bag back to my parents' house because from the memories recovered during yesterday's dinner, there was an abandoned cellar in the villa's backyard. There was no better place to hide a murder weapon. The cellar was damp and cold, but at this moment, I felt a strange sense of familiarity, as if I used to come here often. Flipping the switch on the wall, the scene before me left me utterly stunned. Blood-stained clothes hung everywhere on the walls. The table was covered with various bloodied weapons. No wonder I'd instinctively thought of coming here. So the original owner had always done this. Remembering the diary's contents, I felt utterly lost. Could such inherently evil people, true demons, really exist in this world? After exiting the cellar, I froze completely. Then a bitter expression spread across my face. My father was standing not far away, looking at me with a complicated gaze. What now? I couldn't explain. Was I supposed to kill my father? I couldn't do it. At that moment, Father ran over quickly. Get out of here now! Do you want your mother to find out? So, Father had known all along. I'd had a doubt before. Back then, the original owner was so young. How did he dispose of the bodies? It seemed now that Father had helped him. No wonder Father looked at me with such displeasure and said he had no such son. Seeing I hadn't left yet, Father cursed again. Scram! I said nothing, gave Father one deep look, then turned and left. Let's go. There's another case. What case? Another one at Chibao Apartments, a homicide. Another one. 3 murders in such a short span of time. Was this killer really so frenzied? Soon the two arrived at the crime scene. The area was already cordoned off. What's the situation? The deceased's identity has been confirmed. Name's Li Xiang. He was a security guard here. Li Xiang. Yesterday they had questioned this young man. He never thought he'd be dead today. The body was discovered by a male resident of the apartment. Location is on the shaded side of the building. It's a place even security patrols wouldn't normally go. His discovery was a coincidence. The man who reported it was arguing with his girlfriend earlier. She got agitated and threw her phone out the window. He went downstairs to look for it, and that's when he found the body. Of course, the man's girlfriend has been detained. Throwing objects from a height is illegal. As for other information, we're still investigating. We'll have to wait. Time of death is estimated between 2 and 3 a.m. No drag marks at the scene. It suggests the deceased came here willingly with the killer. The deceased was subjected to inhuman torture. His entire body, except for the head, is covered in injuries, multiple bone fractures. It appears he was beaten to death with a blunt instrument alive. The killer deliberately avoided vital areas. The MO is identical to that serial murder case from 3 years ago. Of course, I'm more inclined to believe it's a copycat. 3 years. I don't think a serial killer could control their urges for that long. Chen Dalei said nothing, just stared blankly at the deceased, as if lost in memories. The 609 serial murder case. Back then, Master let the killer escape to save someone. We can't jump to that conclusion yet. But I have a hunch. If it is him again, then he definitely won't get away this time. Any other findings? This was found on the deceased. It was the deceased's mobile phone. There's some stuff on it. Photos, videos, see for yourself. Chen Dalei took the phone. It recorded some disturbing things Li Xiang had done to an unconscious Tang Yuyu. Extremely perverted. Now we know Li Xiang had this proclivity, even to the point of obsession. From the videos, it's clear the victim was unconscious. This also explains why long-term use of sleep aids was detected in the victim's system. He probably did it. As it stands, his suspicion is high. As for motive, from the phone's contents, it's not hard to see he was infatuated with Tang Yuyu. But Tang Yuyu was an internet celebrity, or perhaps femme fatale, describes her more accurately. Li Xiang watching her flirt with various men every day, it's understandable he couldn't take it. Thus, love turned to hate, and he killed her. The way the deceased was turned into an art piece also fits his psychologically twisted profile. His culpability does seem very high. But don't you think Li Xiang is too frail? Dismemberment would have been very difficult for him. How did he manage it? Old Zhao nodded, sharing the same bewilderment. By the way, I remember, isn't the property manager here his brother-in-law? Where is he? Old Zhao pointed towards Liu Song, who was squatting in a corner, looking utterly dejected. What's wrong with him? With such a major incident at the apartment, he's definitely going to be fired. Middle-aged, lost his job. You understand? Plus, the deceased was his brother-in-law. I knew he'd cause me big trouble sooner or later. What do you mean? Officer Chen, didn't you say yesterday he didn't seem like a security guard? He certainly didn't, because he was a student at our city's top university. Of course, he wouldn't seem like a security guard. But what could be done? He didn't graduate. He was expelled from school. Officer Chen, do you know what that kid did in college? It's embarrassing just to say it. He went into the women's restroom to secretly film people, girls using the toilet. I feel sick just thinking about it. Because of that, he was expelled from school, stayed at home for a while. But a person has to work, right? Who can support him for a lifetime? Fortunately for him, the girl involved was concerned about her reputation, so the incident didn't blow up. Not many people knew. But without a diploma, what could he do? Plus, that incident probably left him with psychological trauma. He became withdrawn, unwilling to talk to people, couldn't hold down any job for long. Naturally, his sister came begging me. I'm a company manager, more or less, arranging a position. For someone isn't difficult. Initially, I was dead set against him working for me. I know what kind of person he is. I was just afraid he'd do something shameful again, but I couldn't refuse. My wife kept telling me he's her only brother. She was distraught, threatening all sorts. I couldn't stand up to my wife's pleas, so I approached him. After he repeatedly assured me, I agreed. Even then, I wasn't at ease. I'd come by often to check, afraid he'd cause trouble for me. After more than half a year, I noticed the kid seemed to have genuinely changed. He became more diligent and seemed back to his old self. I gradually started to relax. Who would have thought it would turn out like this? Why do you think he died? Why else? He must have been secretly filming someone again, got caught, and they retaliated. Serves him right, I say. Chen Dalei waved his hand, signaling him to stop. He knew why Liu Song was so angry, but Chen Dalei didn't believe this was simple revenge. The methods were too brutal. He recalled the 609 case in his mind. The more he thought, the more he felt it was the same person from back then. Why Li Xiang, of all people? Could it be such a coincidence? So many police cars. Looks like they found that security guard's body. Old Zhao, let's assume Li Xiang was the one who killed Tang Yuyu. Then who killed him? If he wasn't chosen at random, does that mean the person who killed him knew Tang Yuyu? Is there an element of revenge in this? Your speculation isn't without reason. But too many people knew Tang Yuyu. Her fans, her pursuers. Any one of them is a possibility. Indeed, many people knew her. But not many knew her and Li Xiang's secret. As he said this, his gaze incidentally swept over me. Then his eyes lit up, the scene of my first interrogation flashing through his mind. He immediately called over Yang Shuo. Yang Shuo, do you remember the scene when we interrogated Chen Xiao? Of course I remember. His guess at the time was very accurate. It left a deep impression on me. Are you suspecting him? Indeed. Look, 3 people have died, all near his home. Of course, this alone might not mean anything, but he does have connections to all 3 deceased. He lived next door to Lu Xiaoyun. He also pursued Tang Yuyu. This security guard, he saw him coming and going every day, so he definitely knew him too. Plus, he's an animal taxidermist. Skinning and such, he's done plenty. This means he's skilled with a knife. Of course. There's also the most crucial point, something I just thought of. Yang Shuo, did you feel anything was off when we interrogated him back then? It was his guess. Right. We hadn't asked him what the cause of death was. Why did he suddenly say that? Would a normal person say that? Absolutely not. So why did he suddenly say it? Remember what I was doing at that moment? Yang Shuo recalled the scene. Opening the closet. There was something in the closet. Exactly. I suspect the murder weapon was hidden in the closet at that very moment. Perhaps he didn't have time, or perhaps he was very confident in himself. In any case, he hadn't disposed of the weapon and just put it in the wardrobe. At that time, only. A door separated me from the wardrobe. I was about to open it. He saw me. To avoid being discovered, he had to stop me. But given the situation then, what could he do? Run. The place was crawling with police. How could he possibly escape? He had no choice. He could only throw out something that would grab my attention to stop me from opening the closet. That's why he suddenly blurted out that guess. Then let's arrest him now. It's all speculation. No evidence. At most, we can bring him in for questioning. Arrest is impossible. Hearing this, Yang Shuo looked somewhat dejected. I have an idea. What idea? Chen Xiao is right here. Hearing this, Yang Shuo immediately turned his head, about to look, but Chen Dalei stopped him. Don't look. Continue with my plan. Since Chen Xiao is here, I'll use the pretext of needing his cooperation with the investigation to keep him busy. Then, Yang Shuo, you take this opportunity to go to his place and see if you can find any clues. This isn't standard procedure. Solving the case is paramount. If anything goes wrong, I'll take responsibility. Yang Shuo also looked agreeable. He was new. Of course, he felt solving the case was the top priority. Procedures could be sorted out later. Old Zhao was speechless. He didn't stop them because he felt Chen Dalei's suspicions were very likely true. Take your tools, be thorough, go quickly. Officer Chen, are you looking for me? Yes, there are some things we need to understand. Please cooperate. Whatever you need to understand, I will certainly cooperate. Looking at my unruffled demeanor, a sliver of doubt rose in Chen Dalei. If he really was the killer, he definitely wouldn't have left any traces. He suddenly felt a twinge of regret. He turned his head, intending to call Yang Shuo back, but found Yang Shuo had already left. That rascal, so eager. I noticed Yang Shuo's departure. A bit puzzled. Why would this young officer leave the crime scene? Connecting this with the fact that among so many people, Chen Dalei had singled me out to understand the situation, I had some guesses. Do you know the deceased? I know the security guard, but not well. And also, Officer Chen, if you suspect me, want to investigate me, just say so directly. I guarantee I'll cooperate. This way, it's unnecessary, isn't it? What way is this way? I'm just normally asking you for some information. Is there a problem? No problem. Ask whatever you want. Seeing my nonchalant attitude, Chen Dalei grew even less confident. He felt Yang Shuo was probably going to return empty-handed, because my composure was too perfect. Officer Chen, before you question me, can I ask you a question? Go ahead. I'd like to ask, when exactly will you police solve this case? It's been 3 in a row. This is terrifying me. I've been on edge these past few days, afraid I'll be the next one to die. The crowd, which had been murmuring softly, suddenly fell silent. Then, it immediately erupted into clamor. Yeah, when are you going to solve the case? How are we supposed to live like this? Seeing the crowd grow increasingly agitated, Chen Dalei had to step forward to mediate. Rest assured, everyone, we will expedite the investigation and ensure your personal safety.